It's time for a new track. The farmer tells us that this goes through to the next village, so let's find out. Whoa, I can't see where I'm going! Yep, that pretty much sums it up. It's the rainy season and everything is just a tiny bit overgrown. I'm wondering where we're going because I certainly can't see, and then all of a sudden I come around the side of the hill and things start to open out in front of me. We're up on the ridge and there's beautiful cruisy single track as far as the eye can see. If you ask me, this is what dreams are made out of. Riding around the hills of Thailand, finding new tracks amongst the lush jungle. And with a bit of luck, not even getting stuck and having to sleep on the mountain. What more could you ask? Oh, I forgot to mention that this is technically work. Yes, this is another hard day in the office for me as we scout some new tracks to use for our tours. Now, time will tell if this is going to turn out to be a beginner track or an intermediate track. At the moment, it's definitely a lovely beginner trail, but we'll see how it goes. Of course, if I bring the beginners up here, I might do them a favour and get out my machete and cut back some of that grass at the beginning so that nobody needs to ride blind, because we don't want to freak you all out to start with. But as you can see here, it's all super cruisy. Just follow that trail between the trees. Now this is the rainy season as well, and this is just perfect conditions. So this is the rainy season, but as you can see, it's not actually raining right now, and up here on top of the ridge we have some lovely firm soil, so nothing slippery at all going on here. On the other hand, further down the mountain where we had red clay, it was still pretty wet and slippery. So that's the trick with local knowledge, is also knowing what kind of soil types you want to be riding during different weather conditions. On a side note, can you hear how lovely and slowly my bike is idling now? I fixed the variable idle on the KLX 230 using a manual idle adjuster, and it has saved my life so many times. From the factory, the variable idle on the KLX 230 can have you descending hills with high revs, and that is terrifying because instead of engine braking, you get acceleration. I am so happy now that I fixed that. Anyway, as you can see, this is the point where I have to get off and walk. That's one of the perks of scouting new trails. Sometimes you need to walk out the next bit to make sure it's not something you're not going to be able to get yourself back out of. So as well as getting bike fit, you get hiking fit too. And there's nothing quite like it to enhance your training like having the concrete weight on your feet of motocross boots. Anyway, this trail's looking pretty good to me. It's definitely passable. There's a steep drop off on the left hand side, but the trail itself is not difficult. So as long as you don't stuff up, you'll be sweet. Now Pilar has taken the left turn and I've taken the right turn, and we're both walking out the next section of track to see where we're going to go next. I've checked the map and I am pretty sure that this is the direction we need to be heading, so I'm going to head back and report that this is where we want to go. Which is just as well, because Pilar's just about to inform me that the other track is not passable at all. Somehow this whole exploration thing always reminds me of Star Trek. I feel like we're probably wearing the red uniforms and we're wandering through the jungle and reporting back to Janeway about where we're going to get eaten or otherwise annihilated by alien life forms. If you're not a Trekkie, that probably sounds really weird, so we'll just move on. And back into the jungle we go. Now, there was a time when I thought the most fun thing in the world was riding street bikes really fast. But you know what? I was completely wrong. I gotta say, this is rocking my socks way, way more. Yes, there's a steep drop off to my left, and yes, I've got my handlebars caught in the bushes on the right. And no, I'm not really going anywhere particularly fast, and I really can't even explain to you why this is so much fun, or why the worse the conditions get, the more fun I have. But there you go, one of those great mysteries of life. Of course, there's the theory of A-type fun and B-type fun. So A-type fun is the kind of fun that feels like fun when you're having it, and B-type fun is the kind of thing that feels like hell when you're having it. And then when you look back, you go, oh damn, that was fantastic. Now, dirt biking can be both. Today is definitely A-type fun. I'm absolutely having fun right now at the moment while I'm here. But if things really go pear-shaped and the rain starts falling and the track gets really, really gnarly, then perhaps I'm going to be terrified at the time, and only looking back will I realise it was B-type fun. It's a mysterious phenomenon, but definitely a thing. It keeps you coming back every time for more, even after you end up feeling completely beaten up and unable to move without groaning after a day of hard enduro. Sometimes we don't know why we love it, but we do. If this makes any sense to you, you should definitely come on over to Thailand for some A-type and maybe even some B-type fun. But there's another really important element to the soup of dirt biking experience, and that's gotta be your mates. Now, previously, before I discovered the joys of real off-road dirt biking, I always rode alone. On my KTM 690 Enduro, I was always like riding around the world, solitary traveler, on my lonesome. It makes a huge degree of difference to the amount of stupid stuff you can do and enjoy. I always absolutely love traveling through foreign places on my own. On one hand, everything is easy, you don't need to have a plan because nobody else has any expectations of you. But more importantly, when you're on your own, you're much more approachable to local people, and so you can make new friendships, you can make new acquaintances. You don't take up a lot of space when you're on your own, so you can kind of slip into people's lives for a little bit and see what their lives are like, which is really, really cool and amazing. But it's a really different kind of experience than really riding enduro through the jungle. For example, look at what I'm doing right now. To my left, we have a pretty sheer drop. Now, the trail's not difficult, but if I were to somehow get off balance or hit a rock or slip on a root and go over that edge, I would have a big problem unless I had a mate to help me out. If I was doing this on my own, I would be worried about that and I would not be having a good time. But when you're with really good people and you know they have your back, then the experience is completely different. Everything, even the slightly scary stuff, is fun. And you get the opportunity to push yourself a little, which I think is a really important part of improving. So that's one thing I really want to create with the tours we do. I want people to really feel like we have their back. Even if they feel like they're in this foreign place and that little bit outside their comfort zone, we want them to really know that we've got their back. I want them to feel supported and I want them to be having fun. And this, I believe, is the way we do it. Now, I don't know how orthodox this technique is, but it's one I use all the time in the mountains of northern Thailand. When you get to the really steep downhill sections, switch off the engine, switch off the kill switch so that you can't accidentally restart the engine by engaging the clutch. And then as you slip and slide down these really steep hills, you also have the option of using the clutch as a kind of handbrake and as an emergency brake. When things go really pear-shaped, you have that backup. If you can't reach your back brake because of some obstacle you're tackling, you can still just let that clutch out a bit and you'll get the back wheel to lock up nicely. Okay, here we have a roadblock. We had a really big storm up here last week, and as you can see, it has dumped trees and debris in all the places we like to ride. But not to worry, this is not very steep, so there's certainly going to be a nice way we can go around the obstacle. The important part is to move aside these really substantial creepers, because if they catch you across your handlebars or maybe they get caught up between your wheel and your brake disc, they can really stop you in your tracks. And if you're not expecting it, you're going to go flying through the air. So keep a good eye out for nasty looking vines. Anyway, the rest all looks good to me. Here we go. Just a little jaunt through the jungle. There we go. It's hardly Java style, but we get through. Now I've checked the map and I know exactly where we are. We're on the side of a hill, heading down the hill towards a village, the name of which I do not know. Oh, cannot see. But I do know there's a village there, and then beyond that, another village, and beyond that, there are some beautiful mountaintop homestays, and that is where I intend on drinking my evening beer. Now you might have noticed that the vegetation has changed here. We've got a lot of more grass. We only have a few big trees. We don't have a lot of that middle level shrubbery going on here. And that suggests to me that the forest here has been burned before to be cleared. And that suggests to me that we're actually really close to the village. We're really close to somebody's back garden. So any minute now, I'm expecting that we're going to come out through some fruit trees and probably some chickens, maybe some barking dogs, and we'll be at the back of somebody's garden. And voila, here we go. Complete with barking dogs. Yes, here are the fierce guard dogs. Now, in Thailand, I am yet to be bitten by a dog, but some of them are not particularly friendly. At times like this, I'm always happy to be wearing motocross boots. Anyway, carry on, don't bother the locals, don't run over their chickens, don't go too fast through their backyard, and everything will be fantastic. Actually, this is a point worth reiterating. Don't go too fast through the villages. Go slowly, watch out for the children, watch out for the old people, watch out for the chickens, don't make a big noise. Even better, stop and buy some drinks and be polite. That way the villagers will always be happy to see the dirt bikers coming, instead of putting up signs telling you to never come back. Speaking of buying drinks, here I am at the beer shop with a flat tire. My first flat tire in 5 years. Anyway, the timing is perfect. I'm going to buy a beer and put my feet up and wait for my friend to rock up with the relevant equipment. It's a pretty sweet arrangement if you ask me. Now I'm wearing my mask because here in Thailand that's still considered polite, and I also offered to take my shoes off before I came into the shop. As a general rule, we don't wear shoes inside in Asia, but shops are kind of a grey area, so it's always good to check before you go marching on in. Especially if you see that the shopkeeper is not wearing their shoes inside. Perhaps some people might disagree with me about this, but as a foreigner, as a guest in someone else's country, I think it's always better to err on the side of politeness. Anyway, cheers to that. It's been a good day. Of course, my bike rescue showed up on schedule and we made it to the lookout that we'd been aiming for all along. As you can see, the view up here is not so shabby. Anyway, stay awesome, stay safe, and keep on dirt biking. If you'd like to do me a favor, you can subscribe to my channel or like this video. I would like that very much. Anyway, I will catch you later.